So today we are talking to you about 8 must-have items when buying a house here in Colorado. We're going to go through a new build and check off what a lot of people must have and what you should consider when buying a home here in Colorado.
A lot of real estate here, and we work with a lot of clients. And today we're talking about 8 or 9. We always get a little lost on how many we're going to do. Things that you must have, like Kayleen said, when you're buying a home. And we get this from helping so many families move here and what is important to them. So this is our first one because it's such a big deal.
Well, and it is a kitchen. So kitchen, usually they say it's the heart of the home. I would agree.
It is.
And for a lot of our clients, it is very important on their checklist. Yes, you need X amount of bedrooms and bathrooms and garage spaces and whatnot, but kitchens sell homes. And so
they do.
And I will say people have different wants and needs in their kitchen space. And so that's what we have to, learn what you like. Like if you have to have a double oven, this kitchen, as beautiful as it is, may not be a good fit.
You.
And just as there's trends in clothing, there's trends in housing. And so sometimes some of those wants and needs that we know you want or don't want could lead me to believe that you want a certain age of house. Yeah. A lot of the newer builds are kind of more like that because in kitchens right now, everybody wants a fancy kind of statement hood vent.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that means that you can't have the double oven, or they'll do just the gas burner like that, and so you'll only have a single oven, which some people, that has been a deal breaker.
And for me, I think what's important in a kitchen is just like the openness, the ability. I know it sounds kind of funky, but the ability to gather. Like this is a large island. When I have all my family over, we all just sit together and like prepare a salad or talk over the counter. Maybe they'll be watching a football game in that room, but we're all kind of in the same space. And that's what I love about this kitchen is I feel like it feels inviting and it just draws people in, and I can have multiple conversations and everyone can be in this kitchen at the same time.
That's true.
And you can do this with a small space as well. It's kind of how it is laid out. And I will say our clients either pro gas or no gas. I feel like very often are they like, oh, I don't care. Actually,
but they have an opinion about it.
Usually they have opinion.
And that's kind of the same with like the double ovens.
Yeah.
Like some people have to have it and some people could care less about it. Mm-hmm. But the trends in housing, I would say today, that's why we wanted to show you this. This is like a premium kitchen
and a good
right now. And
for
it's
resale
beautiful.
Too. Yeah. So that is one thing that is important on our 8 or 9 things you must have when buying a home here in Colorado. These are actually really important, so stay tuned to the last one. You're not going to want to miss it.
So number 2 is mudrooms or drop zone areas. So again, trends in housing, I would say a lot of the newer builds, and especially being in Colorado, to me it's so important to have a space where kind of like an owner's entry where you would come in from the garage or whatnot. And I don't want to see my kids' backpacks and coats and everything. Like in Colorado, we have layers. So it seems like there's always that. And my house that I had before, the front door was the only space to put that. So I love, and one of my must-haves now is to know that there's a drop zone in an area coming from like the garage that you would use all the time.
I mean, think of Colorado, how much stuff we have. We go through seasons in like a day.
Backpacks, coats, you'll have, right now I have an umbrella sitting in mine. We usually have 10 pairs of shoes lined up here. And this is what I like about having a designated area and not your entry that all your guests come in. It's kind of hidden, and my kids always know where all their stuff is.
And here's the best part. Is that you can shut that door.
I love that.
And so even if you're buying a home that doesn't have a drop zone, like for my home, I don't really have one. I walk in, there's a half bath, and so
you almost have to create it.
I created it into like, oh my, he scared me. Sorry. They scared me. Into the garage, like on the side here. So you can get creative even if you don't have a direct drop zone. I do think it is important.
I want to point out one other thing. Okay. A lot of people love like the hardwoods. I will say in Colorado, I love having luxury vinyl planking or tile or something, because we have shoes that get wet and, you know, you'll have water. And if you have that hardwood floors, it's just something to be aware of. You'll want a nice rug or a tray to put the shoes on because you don't want your stuff warping. So I kind of like that the flooring is segmented in this drop zone area as well.
The number 3 thing in Colorado Springs that you must have is some space for in your garage or storage, I would say. A lot of times when you have these little 2-car garages and you have to have a 4-wheel drive car or all-wheel drive here in Colorado, I'd highly recommend it. You run out of space really quickly. So if we can find you a home, even if it's a 2-car garage, now this is a typical 2-car garage, you can also have a 3-car tandem garage, which means a traditional 2-car, get your cars in here, and then you have a whole other bay that would go beyond here that you can put your bikes and your Colorado toys and woodworking stuff and all your Christmas trees if you don't have room for extra storage. What I do love is that 3rd bay. It really does help, especially if you have a larger family, to have that 3rd car. If you don't, there's other options for storage, which you can go up above. A lot of times people will put storage on top. If you do only have that 2-car garage, we're gonna have to think about what that looks like storage-wise. Is there a place in the basement for a lot of storage? Is there a shed outside that you can store things as well? So I know everyone talks about the house, but living in that home logistically, moving your family into that home and having that comfort of just not living on top of each other, I think the garage is a really important piece that people kind of don't pay attention to. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, can I fit my big truck in? Kayleen, how many houses have we measured to fit trucks in?
Yeah.
So many.
And I have to say, a lot of the homes, if you have large, 2 larger vehicles, that can get a little tricky because you need the length.
You need the length as well.
And sometimes the height of the garage door, depending on what kind of vehicle you drive, is a big deal. This is an 8-foot garage door, which helps so much.
Yeah.
But
I think the one over there is even taller, or maybe that's the 8-foot one. That one seems taller to me than the other one a little bit.
Yeah.
As well. So with clearance wise. So a lot of people don't think about garages. They say, oh yeah, I think I want a 3-car garage, but why do you want it? Can you fit your stuff in there logistically? A garage is an important piece to think about when you're moving here to Colorado. I think we're at number 3. Are we number 3, Kate? Number 4.
Yeah, we're 3.
We did kitchen. We've covered mudroom, drop zone, garage.
We are 4. Number 4 I was wrong.
Is room for furniture. And I think this is really important because one of my pet peeves is when you go to an Airbnb, right? And you have room for 10 people and you're all they have one couch and a little uncomfortable chair. I'm like, where is everybody gonna sit? So you need to think about that when this is your permanent home, when you're living here. And this actually space is really nice. Kaylee and I have been in a few new builds and I look at her and I'm like, how would you put furniture in here? Sometimes they combine that dining and that living room and it's long and narrow and where do you separate it? And you really only could fit maybe a 3-person couch and maybe a small chair, but you have a family of 5. And what does that look like? Now, if you're, just 2 of you, it gets a little bit easier, but this actually is a really good option as far as how it's designed. But Kaylee and I have seen some new builds that are really tough to lay out.
And you were sitting, I was kind of, a little bit tighter in on that space and they've kind of separated it with that rug. But what is hard to see, and that's why I tried to step up, is they still give you plenty of space for walk rooms. On top of where the furniture, and you don't want your furniture right up against a wall. No. Usually, even if you had an L-shaped sectional, you pull it off the wall just a bit. And so you want that extra, I'm going to call it maybe cushion room for your furniture to actually function and for you to get around and use.
And think about if you're having a family of 4 or 5 and you have a space, can you seat 4 or 5? Can you have some friends over and still live in that space? And how are you going to set that up, I think is important. I think where it gets kind of tricky and the ones that Kaylee and I have seen is where the fireplace is kind of in the side here. And then it runs into the living room and dining room all together. And you can maybe angle a couch, but those angles get weird. And so it's just something that we have those conversations with you guys as you're buying an existing home or a new build, is how do you live in that living room space? It's so important. It's besides the kitchen, the main area that you interact, can you guys veg out after a long day at work or all your kids are home and friends? Is it gonna fit you guys as a family in your lifestyle? It is very important that it can fit your furniture and your family lifestyle here in Colorado.
One thing to consider when you're buying a new home or a home in Colorado is definitely your ceiling height. So this is one of those things, I know I've pointed it out a couple times now, trends in housing. There was a time, I think it was like, the early 2000 homes, your living room now, Lori, where you have like those double stacked windows. It gives you that grand, vast wow. And if you have the right lot, something like this, you definitely would want to take advantage of that so that you can, it's almost like your artwork in your space. But ceiling heights, I will say I've had some people that don't want the big tall ceilings because they don't want the utility bill for it. And so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. These happen to be 11-foot ceilings, but what I love about this space is that it makes it feel bigger and open and lighter and brighter. One thing to consider is all the window coverings for it. If you are somebody like if you're gonna have a house directly next door, are you going to want to cover those windows with blinds, or is it one of the lots where you're kind of tilted a little so you won't have a neighbor exactly right there? Those are all things to consider. But I would say a lot of people want the taller ceilings. It just makes it feel roomier and lighter and brighter in general. Especially, I wanted to walk over here and show you, it makes such a difference in an entryway. A lot of entryways are a little bit tighter, but when you walk in and say you had an 8-foot ceiling and then a light fixture on top of that, it gets a little,
showing the
kind of like
perspective of when you walk in, having those tall ceilings. I also think
opens it
it's
up.
So important in the basement, almost more than the main level sometimes. If you're going to utilize your basement a lot, and a design aspect here I think is important. Whether you're buying a new build and you have this new feel already, or an existing home with the tall ceilings, is see how they put those drape rods all the way to the ceiling? They didn't even stop it right there at the end of the window. And some people will chunk it off like right there. But to bring your eye all the way up and to throw those blinds all the way to the ceiling is a great design feature.
And you know what I like too? Most of the houses here will have houses on the sides. And this particular builder has brought the windows up taller. And it makes perfect sense, because if you have your windows starting all the way down here, it's hard to put like a buffet or something without it cutting off the window.
The natural light, yeah.
This helps it. You still get the natural light coming in, but you can use it for a piece of furniture as well. I know we've ran into that with some of our clients, Lori, when they have, windows on, 2 full sides, and then you're like, you really only have one larger wall for your bed to go on. And so window placement is a big deal, but the ceiling height is, to me, something that you can't see on a floor plan, that's really hard to see in a photo. It's almost what gives the home a feel, is that ceiling height and the width of the hallways. Like, how much room do you have
and
to walk around?
What point is this? What point number is this?
5.
I think you're right. We're on point number 6, I believe. Kaylee and I always have these points, and I always want to number them out, and then we lose track, as you can see. So I don't know why I still do that. But so I want to talk about yard, outdoor living in Colorado, privacy, kind of all those things combined. It's really important. So if you're in a traditional neighborhood, I want you to know that these lots are close together. So you can see that there's a tree being planted, but there's a deck right there. So how are we going to make it so you do have some privacy? What I do love about this one is you have those views, and you have no one behind you here. You have a park. And then you also have, check out this yard, you have this outdoor living. I will tell you, in Colorado, we spend a lot of our time outside. So they have a water feature here. They have the fire pit down there. Check out that one next door. I love those Navy chairs, by the way. Fire pit, and then that whole outdoor grilling, and then underneath they have some shade. I would say you could spend every day here in Colorado outdoors for the most part. Maybe like that January, February, March, there's a couple months where I'm like, gosh, we haven't been on our outdoor patio at all. But outdoor living, how your lot is situated, and bringing that outdoor area into your home is really important in Colorado.
So what number are we on? Are we
7?
7?
I think we're 7.
Okay,
we're
7. So I want to talk to you about maybe a desk space, an office space, a work from home space, a flex space. To me, it definitely is on the must-have list for when you're considering a home. So we have a lot of people that are working from home now. And I think with us all going through COVID, understood how important it was to at least have the space available if we needed to, be able to work from home, or even now just a space for all your computers and belongings. So what I like about this is that it isn't designated. Maybe it's not on your list. Like, I don't necessarily need an office, but this is doubled as like another sitting room or a TV space. I've also seen where some people have Murphy beds if they do have the doors that shut off, so it could double as a guest space. But to me, even if it's not important on your list, if we're talking about resale, it's on a lot of people's lists, and I say they need that space.
How often are we showing homes and you're like, oh, some people really want a separate dining area. Well, this area could be it. Some people really want an office. This could be it. Some people want a playroom. This could be it. It doubles as so many check boxes to fit so many different types of buyers. And I love that it's kind of...
Well, and say you didn't use this then as a desk. Yeah. Say this was your formal dining. You could use that for a buffet or a serving.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You could definitely do that. What I like about this space is it's close to the main living where everyone's gathering. We talked about that. But so many times my kids, when they have homework to do, they go to their room and I just can't put eyes on them. Not that they're all
to make sure they're doing what they need to be doing.
Okay, let's stay focused. And I can kind of like put them here and say, right now you're working on science, not TikTok. So I can kind of keep eyes on it.
And the other piece to that, I know my sister, that's a big part of why they're building a home right now, because his work is allowing him to work a couple days at home here and there. But if you don't have a designated area, it's really hard because your family's doing life right there. And sometimes it is important that you need an actual door to be able to shut it off.
And you could frame this off if you wanted to.
You could do that here. You could do, and most builders, if you're talking new build, or a lot of homes that we see, it's not too hard to just add in some sort of,
French
what
door,
do you call it?
barn door
You do French doors, barn doors, be able to shut this off for that little bit of privacy. But then some people also want to be able to see out. Yeah. And so having something flexible like that really is.
I've seen some of the offices where they don't have like a window on them or anything, like a little cubby. That part kind of is weird to me. I have seen those in some new builds, but I love the extra flex space desk area that you can make into what you want. So sometimes this is important, sometimes it's not, but I think this is important. So my brother and sister-in-law just bought a house, beautiful home, and my two nieces share 2 bedrooms and they have a bathroom. Now this is one of my favorite homes here in Colorado Springs, so I would still take it and work with it and figure it out. It may not be. But I think a bonus feature is when you actually have a half bath for guests. So for instance, like this would be my niece's room and this is her bathroom, and like my daughter, they're a disaster. Like there's like lotions and sprays and everything is everywhere. And I have to go to the bathroom and I'm like, she tries to clean up, but I don't know. It's a teenager and she's not going to all the time.
Well, that's what you have guests over and you're hanging out here. Their options to use the restroom are your master or
my niece's bathroom.
Child.
So if you can, when you're designing a home or buying a home, a half bath is something that you kind of don't think about. You're like, well, there's no shower in there. It's not a full bath. What's the point of it? But actually, it's really convenient when you have over guests and you can just shut your daughter or son's door and you can have your guests go to a bathroom that and can guarantee it's pretty much clean.
Well, and I do think even those, I don't want to call them Jack and Jills because they aren't a true Jack and Jill, but when they even have like the sinks, that's more private.
You still have to walk into that a little bit. But anyways, I do think it's something to consider. And Kaylee and I help walk you guys through all of this. We kind of talk to you about what you want, what are your must-haves, and then what does your lifestyle look like? Do you have a ton of family that are going to be visiting you? Do you have friends over? What does your lifestyle look like? Do you work from home? Do you have young kids? Do you have older kids? Are you retired? You don't want that much space. We're really good at helping put those pieces together and say, hey, but have you thought of this? Or have you considered X, Y, and Z? And helping make that space in that location, all those must-have, finding you the perfect home here in Colorado. So that is our 8, 9, 10, or 11 must-haves when buying a home here in Colorado Springs. I think it's something that you guys should think about. We talk a lot about houses and neighborhoods and things you must know when buying, but so much a part of that is finding the perfect house, whether that's existing or a new build, and working within that space to create the lifestyle that you want and the home you want here.
Well, and I will say, this is a caveat to our video, I guess. It's good to have a list of must-haves. We definitely read those. We have a lot of clients that do that for us, and it's very nice. And I will say sometimes you're gonna have to prioritize that list because it is really hard to find everything on your checklist sometimes. You know, we are limited to what inventory we have. We're limited to what builders offer. We're limited because of price point. You know, there's a lot of different things, but if I know that you must have X, Y, Z, the others are bonus, great.
Like this weekend, I was showing a homes. Must-haves, 3-car garage. It was a
walk
non-negotiable.
and a view.
Walkable. Walkout basement.
Yep.
And that view. If the house didn't have that, we were not going to see it. We were not going to look at
it. So there's no point in even going to it. But
there was like
if you wanted
points that we were flexible,
the powder room, but maybe you could survive without it, that might be something that was lower on the priority list.
Just so you know, this is like my dream layout for my next house. So
it is amazing.
I don't have a half bath, but I guess it's going to be up to something that I have to deal with.
You might have to, but you aren't going to have a kid in the front.
No, so I know. Well, I wouldn't move till my kids were gone, so it would work. And if they came over and were messy and like moved back home, I would just threaten them with their life that they kept that clean. So I just think it is important. So if you guys want to are thinking of buying here in Colorado, we'd love to help you. We help hundreds of families each year. Mm-hmm. Actually, our goal for next week is to completely plan our client event.
Yes.
At Garden of the Gods Club. We're having family pictures. It's gorgeous, overlooks Garden of the Gods. All of our clients come with their families. Hundreds of clients come. We absolutely love it. And also look at our relocation guide down below. There's actually an interactive map too that goes over videos of specific neighborhoods, but we do a ton of real estate here.
Yes.
And
so
we'd love to help you.
If you're thinking of buying or selling here in the Colorado area, Lori and I would love the opportunity to help you guys out. If you text or call that number, Lori and I are the ones that answer the phone, and we love to help you guys out. So reach out to us.
We'll talk to you soon.